What is going on, y'all? Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chris. This is Ending the Stigma. Um, it's been a couple weeks since I've been on. I took a couple of weeks off. Just had a lot going on. Just needed a break and some time to breathe. So I took a few weeks off. But we are back tonight, and I'm back with Michael Parker. As is the case with so many of my guests over the past year, I've met through Ben and Jess Owen in Memphis, Tennessee. We connected on social media, and like I didn't even know it. The first time we went to no, wasn't the first time. It was maybe it was the first time. No, it was in November. When we went up there for the Thanksgiving event. We go up there. Me and Karen, Josh, and Connor are there. We're hanging out over at Ben and Jess's, and Ben gets off the phone and is like, "Hey, Michael Parker's fixing to be here," and I was like, "What?" Um, so Michael and his girlfriend Laura, they have Devil Dog Canine. Yeah, I did get bit by the dog, Casey, for sure. Definitely a day to remember. Um, but it wasn't by Ranger, who's psycho. They wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me work with Ranger. Anyway, so they have Devil Dog Canine. They do a lot. Aside from doing dog training for just like civilians and regular people, whether it's obedience training or service dog training or protection dog training or whatever, um, they have been working really closely with Flanders Fields and We Fight Monsters to provide protection dogs. They provided the protection dog for Ben. They trained Ranger, and then they trained Karma, which is the newest service dog for the women's house. Hey, hey, Bubba, good to see you, man. Um, and they're just working really closely with Ben and Jess. They trained Frank for Jason and Maria Ulston as a service dog. Um, but they're just really involved with what's going on in Memphis, just helping out where they can, working where they can, doing all kinds of cool stuff. So when we were there in November, we had an Airbnb. It was me, Josh, Kara, Connor. I don't remember if Clayton went or not. April and her son, Case, went. And we all, they came over to the Airbnb one night. We all hung out. We sat out on the porch and played games and talked and shot the shit and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they trained Ben too. I don't know if anybody can train Ben, man. Casey, I think, is the only one that has ever been able to train Ben for anything. Like not even Jess has been able to. But super cool people. And I've heard a little bit of his story. I haven't heard all of it. I know he's a Marine Corps veteran. That's where the Devil Dog Canine name comes in. Um, but I know he's had some struggles with addiction and mental health stuff, and he's used animals to kind of work through it and all that. And so I thought it would be cool to kind of have him on here to talk about, how he got to where he is now, and how he got hooked up with Ben and Jess, and what him and Laura are doing, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to quit rambling, and I'm going to bring Michael Parker out here. If I can get to him, there he is. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining me. I appreciate it.
well, you said anybody can train anybody. Nobody can train Ben.
Nobody can train Ben. Yeah, I like even
You just manage
Casey.
him.
She's a chaos coordinator, right? Like she just coordinates it. She doesn't ever train him.
Hey, shout out to Casey for keeping us organized last
Yeah,
trip we were
man.
down there.
Yeah,
All in line, had everything planned out. It went smooth thanks to her.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, so like Casey said, like it was Padme. It was your dog that I did a little bit of bite work with. Um, and dude, that was like people that have never done it, like you see it, but we never until you've done it, like you don't realize one, how much fun it is, but two, how much a 45-second session will wear your ass out because of how those dogs are, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. It's a good workout.
Yeah. So look, man, like I said, we know you're a vet. We know like you've told me before, you've had a little bit of, some addiction stuff or some mental health stuff or whatever. Just kind of tell us a little bit about you, like where you started, where you're at, and where you think you're going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy life for
Right.
sure. Definitely lived 2 lifetimes. But yeah, my struggle was alcohol. Alcohol was always
Yeah.
my go-to. Um, Became a very heavy alcoholic. I guess I can get into that. But sex and alcohol were my biggest struggle, really.
Yeah.
Those are the things I used to cope with what was going on when I wasn't addressing it. Um, but yeah, so I grew up in a military family. Got a long line of family that served. Um, by the time I could walk, I decided I wanted to be a Marine. So I've always been a crayon eater, I guess. But yeah. So
As a
I
total
mean,
side note, are you part of the group on Facebook? Ben and them are part of it. Veteran Trash Talk VTT.
I think I am. I don't ever check it though. I think
Okay,
I am
like
though.
whenever that stuff shows up in my feed, like it's just veterans talking trash, and they're always talking trash about other
Yeah.
branches. You know how they do, and it's just like the crayon
Oh yeah.
eaters. It's just it cracks me up, dude. How I think I got in that group because Monica Nicholson is she's an admin on the Monster Fighters, and I'm a moderator, and so she invited me. But it is freaking hilarious to hear different branches of the military talk absolute shit about each other.
Oh yeah. I don't know what we'd do if we didn't talk shit to each other.
Right. Anyway, sorry, that was just side note.
Only
Go
time we're
ahead.
not, I was gonna say the only time we're not talking shit is if we're ganging up on somebody else. But
Right.
even then, we're still talking shit about each other.
Right. You're fighting the Taliban talking shit about each other,
So some sibling rivalry.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man. Yeah. So I guess I honestly, I probably had an alcohol problem before I joined the military. I started drinking when we lived in Germany legally over there.
Yeah.
Drank all the way through high school, so I already had an issue prior to joining the military. Military just amplified that a lot, made it a lot worse. What is my favorite crayon? The red one.
The red
Everybody
one.
knows the red ones taste better.
Do they? I'll take your word for it.
Oh wait, on that story, on the crayon eating story, I got a really funny one.
Okay.
So I was in an airport. I don't know what airport it was, but I was in this airport and I'm walking through, and there's this little kid comes. I think I was wearing something that said Marine Corps, and this little kid comes up to me with this little 4-pack of crayons that you get from like a restaurant.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I brought you a snack." And I look over, and his dad's over there just like laughing. I could tell he was either, he was military too. And so I just looked at him. And I opened that pack of crayons. I pulled one out. I just took a big bite off of it, and the kid's face was like, and his dad is like hunched over laughing because I don't think that he actually expected that response, but it made it so much better. So yeah, that's because I didn't even miss a beat. The kid handed me the crayons. I said, "Thank you." Opened them up, just took a big bite out of one, and his dad's just like rolling over there. And that kid was so shocked that I actually took a bite of the crayon. I'm probably convinced that Marines eat crayons for real too. So.
Yeah, he'll grow up forever thinking that Marines are crayon eaters.
Yeah. Marines really are crayon eaters. I've met one in an air bite out of a crayon. Never live that shit down.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. So yeah, you were an alcoholic long before you got in the military.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was that way for a long time. I remember, I guess when you're in the military, it doesn't seem like a problem because you just drink all the time.
Right.
Like we'd have parties and we would show up with you would get a half gallon of your favorite alcohol. And no joke, how the party would start is you have like 7 half gallons of alcohol, and everybody's got their favorite kind, and you just take a big swig and then pass it to the left, and we just passed around 7 bottles till it was gone, and then that's when the party started. And you
Oh
start
my
drinking all the
God.
beer and all that stuff. Yeah, we drank it's amazing the amount of alcohol we consumed. I didn't, and
That
I
is
didn't realize,
insane.
it was just normal, I didn't
Yeah.
realize it wasn't normal until I got out, and you know, here I am
You
still
realize
going strong.
people don't do that.
Everybody else
Yeah.
trying to keep up with me is passed out. And
Yeah.
really, I didn't even realize how bad it was until like a year ago. That's a long time after I quit drinking. Somebody sent me to get them a fifth of I think it was vodka. I think they sent me to get a fifth of vodka, and I came back with a half gallon, and they go, "I asked for a fifth," and I was like, "This is a fifth," and they're like, "No, that's a half gallon," and that's when I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I was like, "Wait, you mean I drank a gallon of whiskey a night?" And they're like, "If you drank two of those, then yeah," and I was like, "Yeah," because I was always like, "Oh yeah, I drink two fifths a night." No, I was drinking a gallon a night.
That is
I
insane,
don't know how
dude.
I'm still.
Yeah, that is insane. And I've opened up about this a little bit, but last year after my brother died, I started drinking real heavily. But still, like on a good night, I drink a fifth or a liter, a night. I can't even imagine drinking a half gallon, let alone a full gallon of liquor. Like that is like I can't
That's just what
even.
I was buying.
Yeah, right. That's just what you were drinking.
That was just what I was buying, like, and I would still be going. Everybody else is passed out, so I would just finish everybody else's alcohol while they were asleep.
That is insane to
So
me. I can't even
it
wrap my
goes
head
down.
around that.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around how I still have a
A
liver.
liver, how you're
How I'm
still
still
alive.
alive.
I've thought about that too, man. Like just with all the drinking I did last year, all the times I woke up still like, and I quit drinking at 10 o'clock, but I drank so much so that I'd wake up at 6:30 and still be messed all the way up. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
Going to work like that, and it's just a wonder. Like it's only by the grace of God that I'm still alive. Like I should have died of alcohol poisoning, like you probably should have,
oh,
like a long time ago.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's one of those crazy things. If you knew all the things that I did and machinery I operated while still probably intoxicated from the night before, you'd be like, "What the heck?" Yeah, ridiculous, man.
it's our military at its
Drink until like
finest.
5 in the morning, get up and go to work,
Yeah,
and still be drunk.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, oh. So what happened, man? So like, what made you change? What made you decide enough was enough? Like, tell us kind of like how that all happened. What's up, Julio Torres, my brother? What's going on, man? Good to see you.
man. It took a lot. It really took a lot. Like, yeah, I got into trouble when I was in because of drinking and things I was doing. Kind of got myself into some bad situations. Um, and you would think learn to leave the bottle alone. I didn't. Probably hit it even harder
Right.
after that. And then
Yeah.
one of my buddies, died, and um, I drank even heavier after that. Um, and yeah, man, uh, that went on. Let's see, and then I got the mental health. Started dealing with mental health stuff in like 2015. Um,
Okay.
like the PTSD and things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I just kept drinking, which
Yeah.
honestly I should probably not been drinking with some of those medication I was on, but whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
You don't think about that kind of stuff though, especially when you're already in your addiction. You're just like, okay, like this is just another medication or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah, because it helped me sleep. It didn't matter how much I had to consume to get to sleep.
Right.
It would get me to sleep for a couple hours because I didn't sleep. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, I had to go through a lot of bad stuff before I finally said enough was enough. Um, I had 4 suicide attempts.
Wow.
Um, 3 of those were, I was pretty intoxicated. Again,
Yeah.
like that's how I used the alcohol to drown out that voice that was like, "Hey, just
Mhm.
keep going," you know? Ended up in jail, on my fourth suicide attempt, ended up in jail, because law enforcement got called because
Yeah.
my grandparents caught me,
Right.
or witnessed me attempting to kill myself, and didn't go well with law enforcement. So ended up in jail. That was kind of, I would say that was kind of start of the road back, but not entirely out of the woods. I went to
Yeah.
jail, um, got out, moved to Hawaii, started doing better. I was kind of only socially drinking at that point.
Mhm.
No, actually, I was still drinking because I remember New Year's came. I had a complete breakdown on New Year's. I remember I was talking to one of my friends back on the mainland, and all the fireworks and stuff. And, it was just like having a flashback and just complete meltdown. Um,
Yeah.
kind of cut it after that. Um, is when I kind of, it was like just socially drank. That lasted maybe a year, and then I was slowly getting back into it until I was drinking heavy again. And,
Mhm.
and the thing is like when I drink, I'm usually that fun, outgoing guy, but
Yeah.
also there's that switch that if it gets flipped, doesn't flip back
Yeah.
off, and
Right.
definitely gotten into my fair share of drunk, and honestly, I'm lucky I didn't ever actually kill anyone fighting. There was a couple
Yeah.
close things that I could have easily gone to prison for killing somebody when I was fighting. Because I would never
Right.
initiate it because that's not I'd be like, but hey, if you hit
Right.
me,
Right. Right.
can't or actually that was the challenge. I'd always issue anyone if they wanted to fight. So I was like, you can have the first hit, but you better knock me out. And
Yeah.
And so, and after that, it'd be game on. And oh man, dude, I don't know how many fights, so many. And I wouldn't start it, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
whooping out. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and it was always just some random person in the bar. They fucking deserve to get their ass whooped.
Right.
Until somebody I
Right.
cared about pissed me off one night, and I about killed them. And that was kind of that wake up call that I was like, nah. Uh, Honestly, after that night, I remember sitting there and I had my pistol, I had a knife, I had some pills, I had like different options, and I was like, so what way are we gonna try this time? But then I was like, no, 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 we're not gonna, we're no, we're gonna face this head on, and we're gonna do shit
Yeah.
different. And that's when I went on my sobriety journey. Uh, Ended up going 3.5 hours. Um,
Nice.
now I'll drink occasionally, but
Yeah.
which even then, like when I started like allowing myself to have a drink from time to time, I was worried because I didn't want to fall back into where I was, heavily drinking,
Yeah.
the alcoholic, and I was worried that that's where I would go. But dude, I can have a six pack that sits in the fridge,
Yeah.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
There's still 3/4 bottles of alcohol in
Yeah.
cabinets
Yeah.
in there
Yeah.
that, over the months, and they're there.
Yeah.
I honestly, about the only time I drink now is like if I go to like a hockey game, I'll drink a couple, I'll
Yeah.
drink like one period, just to have fun, let loose. But
Yeah.
I really have to drink anymore. Um, but honestly, I think it's just I think what keeps me from going back though is like realizing all the stuff that I did and I had to go through because of the alcohol. And I'm
Right.
like, I never want to get back to that place again. So
Right. Yeah, for sure. So how did you get into, like, you were doing stuff with horses at a ranch for veterans that were dealing with PTSD, right? Are you still doing that? Like, refresh my memory on that.
Yeah, so I mean, so my journey with that came while I was in Hawaii.
Okay.
Growing up, there was only two things I ever wanted to be. I wanted to be a Marine first and foremost, but the other thing I wanted to be was a cowboy. Uh, so after I got out and all of that, it was like, well, you know, 24 years old, we've done top list. Let's go for the other dream. Um, so when I
Yeah.
was out in Hawaii, I started working on a ranch, learned how to ride horses, do all that stuff. Became a tour
Yeah.
guide. Honestly, that played played a big role in my healing journey was horses. I was working on the mental health stuff and through like other activities like hiking and kayaking and meditation. Um, but for um, as far as like the anger issues, the horses is what
Yeah.
helped me chill out, because I mean, I still am short tempered, but I could just explode real quick. Uh, you can't do that with horses. Like
Uh-uh.
they feed off of that. So I had to learn how to keep my emotions in check, and it really helped me
Yeah.
out a lot. Not even just I was interacting with the horses; it started to carry over to how I interacted with people every day. But yeah, that played a big role. I worked on with horses on that ranch, and then I went to another ranch and um, did more cowboy stuff. Um, and that's kind of where my journey to where we are today. It started. It was on that first ranch I was working on in like 2017. I remember one day I was out there on the trails and it was just like kind of that light bulb moment, like you see
Yeah.
in the cartoons, light
Yeah.
bulb over your head.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, if this stuff is this helpful for me, like how many other people could it
Yeah.
help? And then it kind of became my 5-year plan. That's what I tell everybody I was working towards was, creating a ranch to help veterans and first responders. Sat on it for 2 years, found myself homeless. Uh, the ranch I was working at, I also lived there. They had to cut, employees for financials, and so they cut me loose. So just like that, I had no job, I had no place to live.
Yeah.
Um, so I was sleeping in a hammock on a beach. So not the worst way to be homeless. Sleep
Right.
the sunrise over the ocean every morning. Could be worse.
Right. Yeah, there
Uh,
could be worse places to be homeless than the beach on Hawaii, but
yeah.
still.
uh, but like that was kind of like that point where I started making that shift more towards business. Um, I was trying to get a job. I applied for like 100 jobs, and most of them didn't even call me.
Yeah.
Told me that I was overqualified. Like McDonald's said, you're overqualified to flip burgers. I was like, you don't understand. I just need a damn job. I don't care if I'm overqualified or not. I just
Right.
need some
Right.
money. But it was in that period, I reached out to a friend and that I had on Facebook who was a life coach, and I was like, hey, maybe this guy can help me, get a job. And he's kind of the one that set me on that path to entrepreneurhood. And I started working towards Second Chance, which was the first business I started. Um, and you know, I never got a ranch for it yet, um, but I helped a lot of veterans and first responders
Yeah.
between 2020 and last year. This past, well, I'll say at the beginning of last year, I kind of stepped back from it. I got attacked by a dog, kind of put me out. I was already kind of dealing with
Right.
some burnout on my own, so I was just kind of had to step away.
Right.
Um,
Is that how you
but
met?
yeah, so that was the first thing.
Is that how you met the guy that showed up at Bass Pro whenever we ate at Wahlburgers with y'all? Is that how you met him?
Uh, so Salty, I
Salty.
actually
Yeah.
met him. I don't even know how we were connected, how we got connected originally. We met off of Instagram. I don't know
Okay.
how we met, but he's an old
Yeah,
Marine
yeah,
out of California, old cowboy. Honestly, me in like 30 years
yeah,
probably.
exactly. Yeah, that's
But
exactly right. He was a
he,
cool dude, man.
like we never actually met in person. And then 2022, I was out in Cali, and so I met up with him, rode some horses out there with him,
Okay,
which was pretty cool,
okay.
and hung out with him. Uh, we just always been in touch, like
It's crazy
over
how
the
social
years.
media does that,
Uh,
right? Like all of a sudden, like you don't know anybody, and then all of a sudden you have connections all over the country, all over the nation, and some you meet in real
oh
life,
yeah,
some you never do. But yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy because like I ended up staying out there for like 2 weeks um, in LA, house sitting for a friend of mine that like everybody thought she was crazy because we had never met in person, but we had been in the same like veterans group
Yeah,
that met weekly over 2 years. And so when I came out to San Diego, she's like, "Hey, you want to extend your stay 2 weeks and just come stay at our house while we're on vacation? You can watch our dogs, and you know, you can stay in our house. You can borrow our car. You know, you can hang out, get to see LA and stuff."
yeah,
I will say I didn't spend my time actually in LA while I was there, but everybody's like, "You never actually met this guy in person?" She's like, "No, but I know him like
yeah,
better than I know most people I know in real life."
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's the power of technology right there.
yeah, for sure. So, how did you get into? So, talk about the transition from horses to dogs. Like, how did you get into training dogs?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's a
it's
natural
funny because I
transition.
used
I
to play.
mean, really, when you think about it, I mean, there's a little bit of difference, but training animals is training animals, right? So, like, you have to know the patience
These
and
are people.
and people, like all of that. So that to me, that's a natural transition. But I'm an animal guy, so I get that. But tell us about the transition from horses to dogs and how you got into Devil Dog.
Yeah. So I used to be that person that, like everybody says dogs are a man's best friend. And I was like, no, dude, like those people ain't never worked with horses.
Yeah,
Um, I love my horses, but honestly, like I was still struggling, like, I mean, I was in a better place, but like, I wouldn't get out. I wouldn't go do anything.
yeah,
And I had friends that had service dogs, and one of my buddies was like, he's like, "You really need a service dog." And I was like, "I don't need a service dog." And then he goes, "Okay, when's the last time you went into town?" Which town was like 20 minutes away.
yeah,
Well, first he said, "When's the last time you left your house?" I was like, "I leave my house every day and go ride my horses." He's like, "No, no, no. When's the last time you went to town? When's the time you interacted with people?"
yeah.
And then I got to thinking about it, and I hadn't even gone to town in 4 months.
Wow.
And like, kind of where I was at is like, if I would always, if somebody else is going to town and I needed something, I would send them to get whatever I
Right,
needed. I didn't go. I didn't want to
right.
be around people. I didn't want any of that. Um, and I started interacting with him and his service dog and other people that have service dogs, and I was like, maybe a service dog would actually benefit me. Um, so in 2023, I've had him 2 years now. Yeah, 23, I got service dog, and he's been a huge help, but it was a hard transition. Like I think his and my relationship was very strained at the beginning because I didn't understand him. I'd be like, I told you to sit. Why are you crawling in my lap? Well, bro, it's because your anxiety is through the roof and he's doing his job. Like I just struggled to
Right,
understand what's going on, and
right.
so it kind of caused me to, I'm always been trying to improve. And so it kind of led me to like dive into understanding dogs more, um, which just kind of sparked that curiosity. Um, and then I met Laura, who's been a dog trainer for almost 4 years now. And she started, teaching me a little bit about training. and that led to an opportunity to, come up here to Illinois to train for somebody, which is where I learned how to train. Um, we worked for like 6 months or so. Trained a lot of dogs in there, got really good at it. Um, had a difference of opinion, that's what we'll call it, and left. We left there, um, and you know, could have got a job working for somebody else the same day. I'd already put out the feelers. I already been told, yeah, absolutely, you guys can come.
Yeah.
But then I thinking about it, I was like, why? I was like, why go work for somebody else? I was like, we're both really good at what we do. And I was like, why don't we start our own business? She was kind of hesitant at first. She's like, well, when she first got certified, she had tried out on her own and it didn't go so well. I was like, yeah, well, that's because you're not good at the business stuff, but I'm really
Right.
good at that kind of stuff and the business aspects. And I was like we can do really well doing this. So we gave it a shot, and one thing's led to another, and things have just escalated real quickly. Um, and fortunate enough to have a lot of great opportunities, like training a dog for Ben, and training
Yeah.
Ranger for Ben, and then you know Karma, and just a lot of other opportunities
Y'all
along the way
did
that
y'all
really
did
just kind of
Frank
helped.
for Jason and Maria too,
Yeah,
their service dog.
yeah, we trained with him. Well, so Frank's not really a service dog; he's a companion. We just
Okay.
uh, put really good obedience on him,
Gotcha.
so he can. Uh, F- Frank was just a nervous wreck and needed
Yeah.
some confidence built so he could be better out and about. So
Have you have
we made
you
him really good.
have you seen I know you probably have because it's been all over Facebook. Um, but it's a reel and I see it all the time. And it says, me with the dog I got to help me with my anxiety. And it's a little chihuahua sitting there going, just shivering out of anxiety, right? I think of
You'd be
y'all every
surprised
time
how
I see that. Every time I see that reel, I'm like, yeah, that dog needs to go see Michael and Laura.
you'd be surprised how many times people are like, "Oh, I want this dog to be my service dog." I was like, "That dog is scared of its own shadow." Like, we got a lot of work to do if that's what you want.
Yeah, but can y'all do that though? Like whenever have y'all ever gotten a dog that was that bad and been able to flip it and make it to where it was solid?
Oh, like solid, like, oh yeah, all the time. Like, honestly, that's what we specialize in. It's like
Gotcha.
those, we call them behavior modifications. Those dogs that are fearful,
Yeah,
reactive, uh, lack confidence.
right.
We're really good at building their confidence, helping them overcome their fear, and building them up. And dogs that are reactive, whether it's people or
Hmm.
dog reactive, working through all of that. Um, like that's the way Karma was. We trained a service dog for an NFL player or a former
Yeah,
NFL player, and that dog. I mean, that dog was a service dog prior. It just had become reactive, and we were able to work with it and get it to where it wasn't reactive anymore, so it could be a service dog again.
yeah.
And she's doing really well. But yeah, those are the cases we like. Like, yeah, the basic obedience on pets is cool and all, but I like the challenges.
I was gonna say it's got to be a lot more fulfilling to take something. Um, I don't want to say damaged, but has issues, and then be able to do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like uh, that's that's just something I do. I feel like I always gotta try to,
Yeah,
like, I see something damaged, I want to try to fix it.
yeah,
So yeah, it's just like natural. I see somebody struggling, I'm like, oh, let me help you out with that. Let me give you some advice.
yeah. And Ranger was like that too, wasn't he? Like he had some issues y'all had to get him past to be able to get him handle. And I'm not even going to say he's totally handleable right now. But I mean, with Ben, he is, but He still has his own issues, right? But he's good at what he does.
I feel like dogs are a lot like people. We all have our
Yeah,
issues
I
from
agree.
sense to
Yeah.
another, But I'll say, even like Ranger when we trained him, like he was solid, but I was like kind of had my questions about him at times. I was like,
So
but
this,
just seeing him with Ben
let me
and his family, like he's really that dog's really come out of his shell a lot.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's like the best thing for him.
And
Like,
he does good with Ava and James and the rest of the little kids. Like, but what's crazy is when I was there a couple weeks ago, um, when we got back from the funeral, we went over to Ben and Jess's before we went to Marley's celebration of life, and it was just me. Like I didn't have any of my other family with me, but we got there and Ranger was there, and they were like, "All right, we have to let Ranger out, so like, just go in the bedroom, just go in the bedroom and shut the door so that he doesn't try to eat you." And it was so funny. Like he knew, like that dog knew because he came running down the steps, and I had gone to the bathroom, come back out and sat in the dining room for a minute, and then I went in the bedroom. And he went right in the bathroom and started smelling around and was tracing, trying to figure out. He was like, he knew something was off. You know what I mean? Like, um, but they were
yeah,
like, just go hide, bro. Like we don't want to have to drag him off of you.
yeah, you should probably hide. That dog bites harder than any of the other dogs. You don't want to get bit by him.
Yeah,
Promise you.
yeah,
Yeah, like, oh, dude, he scares me every time. He gets so excited when we're there, but he'll come running. Not last time we were there, time before last, I was sitting in the chair and Ben lets him out. He comes downstairs and he turns the corner and he just looks at me, and I was like, he gets this look on his face and just sprints towards me, and I was
you don't
like,
know which way this is about to go.
you know, when he sprints towards me like that, it's because I have a bite sleeve on and I'm about to get bit,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh Lord. And he just comes flying and literally just jumps and lands in my lap. And he's just like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. And I'm like, please don't run at me.
Don't do that. Yeah,
Like,
don't do that again.
I really thought you were about to smoke me right
Yeah.
there. He's a
Yeah.
he's a big
I love it.
he's a big
And
baby on the inside.
he is, man. Like his personality is so weird because the weekend I met y'all when y'all delivered him, Ben had him out and around, he had a muzzle on him and all this kind of stuff. And I'm sitting next to Ben and Ranger comes up to me and nudges me wanting to be petted. And I pet him for 10 or 15 seconds. And then he starts growling at me because he was like, nope, all right, that's it. I'm done. Like, that's all I wanted. Get away from me, USOB. You know what I mean? It's funny. Like, he got the personality on that dog is crazy.
He's like, I want pets. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
I don't want it. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, he's kind of
Yeah.
like, he'll be like, oh no, wait, no, I don't actually know.
Yeah, I don't know you. Never mind.
Yeah, he's just
never mind. Oh, I love it. So what's on the horizon, man? Like where y'all? I know y'all have been posting a lot about like doing stuff with monsters and Flanders and doing service dogs for them and stuff like that. But what's on the horizon for y'all? Like what's coming up? Or what's your vision? Where do you see do you see it coming? Or where do you see it going?
Long term, I'm gonna have locations all over, dude. Working on contracts with different departments to train dogs, for law enforcement, hopefully even the military, working on those. So long term, all of that, service dogs,
like working dogs for the military and law enforcement, like attack dogs and drug sniffing and all that.
Sense detection, like explosive detection, narcotics, apprehension, tracking, all that stuff.
Yeah.
On the other side, I mean, and I would love to arm. I guess we kind of got drawn into that, the anti-trafficking stuff. I've got a passion for that now, and everything we can do. I would love to get a dog and get a dog for every organization out there that's doing that, on
Yeah.
both sides,
Yeah.
ones that will fight the bad guys, but ones that also help the kind of like Karma, her
Yeah.
whole purpose is to help, uh, those in recovery, but also, trafficking survivors when they get them out to be there to comfort them
Yeah.
and give them some support. Um, but I would love to train a whole lot more. I know we're working on that. I would love to just get plugged in and get dogs all over the place
Yeah.
to help in that mission. Um, one of our new initiatives is like we're training a service dog right now for Kristen Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
We're training her dog
Oh
is
yeah,
a
y'all are training Sherlock right now. Yeah.
Sherlock's here with us.
Okay.
He's in the middle of his service dog training. He's the first
For
one that
for
will
those of y'all that don't know, Sherlock is half Chihuahua, half German Shepherd. Is that right?
Yeah. And no, that's not an accident. Apparently, it's intentional. Love you, Kristen, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if
Dog is-
she's here or
Your
not,
dog
but
is
that
great.
just
Your dog is great, Kristen. I love him to death. He's so cute though. He looks like a mini shepherd, but he
yeah,
definitely
he
has
almost looks like
Chihuahua tendencies.
he almost looks like a shepherd, like Dachshund cross or something, because he's kind of short and squatty, isn't he?
Yeah, dude, he literally looks like if you took a
With
German
it.
Shepherd and you shrunk it down. Like that's what he looks like. I'm like, you're a tiny little guy. He's just like he's so small. He just looks up at you with those big eyes. It's like, it's okay, buddy. But no, he's a really good dog. He's gonna do her a lot of good and a lot of other people. I know she kind of wants him like on top of being her service dog. She wants to, use him as kind of like a therapy dog
Yeah.
to help other
Yeah.
survivors. Uh, but we've been talking with her, and she kind of brought it up about us training service dogs for other survivors, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of something that we're working towards is how do we get funding for that, and then like partnering up with We Fight Monsters and other
Right.
organizations and stuff to help
And
train more service dogs
and we've talked about that
survivors.
too. Is like, I live in a small town. I don't know that I would ever need a protection dog. I mean, I might. You never know. But at the same time, it would be nice to have a dog that was like a service dog or therapy dog. So when that, whenever we do get uh, a sober living house or a safe house for women, like we can take him or her over there and just hang out and have something, have a dog, because it's so therapeutic, man. Like you just think about it, like how therapeutic is it just to have a dog come up and love on you? You know what I mean? Like they know, like
Yeah,
it's so crazy. Like after,
literally look at what Karma.
yeah, exactly what Karma does. Like, even my dogs who aren't trained, like after my brother died, and I had some really, really rough days, and they knew, and they'd come up and they'd put their head in my lap or whatever. Like it's just it's really, really therapeutic to have that happen.
Yeah, yeah, dude, it's a huge help. So whenever you're ready, I already told you, let us know.
Yeah, I
See
know.
what therapy
Yeah, I
offering now.
will.
Well, that's the
Yeah, for
army.
sure. Add to the army. That's right, man. I'm gonna have, and I hate to say it like this, but I'll either have to move where I'm in a bigger house, or I don't even want to think about it. Have to wait until one or both of my dogs moves on. You know what I mean? Because it's just
Yeah.
I live in a tiny house with 2 dogs inside, so it's just hard, and they're not trained at all. Like they're terrible. They're both little shitheads. Yeah, I know. You could. Yeah, you
That's my
could.
go-to line. Anytime I see anybody that's got a dog that's like acting crazy, I'm like, I can fix that.
Oh, dude. So I have 2 pit. One's a full blood pit. One's half pit, half English. My female, who is full blood pit, like she is super protective. Like anytime anybody new comes over, she will eat them until I introduce them. Once I introduce them, like she is perfectly fine. Like no issues whatsoever after that. My other one, my male that's half English, half pit, dude, somebody could break in my house and be taking all my stuff, and he'd be over there trying to lick him to death. Like no, like nothing. Like everybody's his best friend. He weighs 80 pounds and he tries to get in everybody's lap. So yeah. Terrible manners.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Terrible manners.
Well, somebody breaks into your house, one's gonna eat them and one's gonna just lick them to
yeah,
death.
exactly.
That's how we feel. We have a husky, and I'm like, the husky would just invite them in. He would literally let strangers in, be like, yeah, come on in as long as you pet me.
Yeah.
And then our two protection dogs would eat them. I was like, Earl will lure them in, and then Ziggy and Padme would eat them. They're like, oh, it's all good. It's just a husky. And then two Malinois come out of nowhere.
Yeah, Malingators come out of nowhere. Yeah. Well, dude, we're about at time, man. Is there anything else you want to say or let the people know, or what's your website? Like, how can people get your merch and look y'all up and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so our merch is on our is on our website. There's a tab at the top that I believe it says store. That's bad. I don't even know what it's labeled as on my website, but I think it's store. It's top. But yeah, you can go on there. We got Double Dog K9 shirts and hoodies. Working on. But yeah, if you want to look us up, it's doubledogk9.com. DEVIL.
And if you're lucky enough to be friends with them, then you have patches and stickers.
Yeah, you ever see us in person? I always carry stickers. So if you ever see me out, just ask. I got some stickers. Got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can look us up if you guys are interested in training. And that's the other thing too, is you don't have to be in Illinois or Memphis. We work with people all over.
Right, you work with people all over the country. Yeah, because Kristen's
we traveled all the way.
Kristen's in Virginia or something, isn't she? And she's somewhere over there. And then Ben and Jess were in Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta area. So y'all work with people all over the country.
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina. Yeah, thank you, David, for doing that. I appreciate you, brother.
That's it, David.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Cool, man.
Pay you for your promotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, check us out. We're also on all social media. I would say any parting wisdom. I guess kind of just like my mantra has always been, if you want to get better, just take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to change, so you don't make big changes. If you try to make big changes, it doesn't last. But if you make little changes, so if you just try to do one thing better each day, try to be 1% better, over, 3 months. 3 months, you're in a completely different place. 6 months, a year, you're not even going to recognize who you were back then.
Yeah.
So just put in the little efforts. Like, don't worry about trying to do big things.
Yeah.
The little things are going to help in the long run. And you know what? If you have a bad day, you make mistakes, you fall down, brush yourself off and
get up and do it again. Yeah.
Every day's a new day.
Yeah. The big changes are always made by the little steps. Like you said, if you try to do the big changes all at once, like you're going to fall flat and you're going to get discouraged. But if you can just do the little stuff a little bit at a time, day by day, you're not going to fail. And failure is part of it, but you're not going to fail as much. You know what I mean?
Honestly, delete failure from your vocabulary. You only fail when you give up. Like, even if you make mistakes and stuff, man, I've made a lot of what people would call failures. I don't call them failures. I call them lessons, because guess what? I learned from it and I moved on.
Yeah.
Learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. Adjust. It's kind of like like back in the Marine Corps when you're shooting. You missed the target, adjust, shoot again. Keep dialing in till you get that perfect score. You know.
I like that. Delete failure from your vocabulary. That's good.
Yeah, you only fail when you give up. So you know, put in little changes, and like you said, yeah, big changes. You get discouraged. It's too much. You know, just little changes over time. You know, you're gonna be in a completely different place, and you're gonna be like, dang, like that was me a year ago, or that was like when I look back at like 2017, I'm like, damn, that's where I was at. You know, like
yeah, for sure. Well, dude, I appreciate you being here, man. I really do. It was good hanging out with you. Hadn't seen you since December. Hadn't talked to you since December, so it was good to hang out with you.
You gonna be there
y'all
on the 19th?
No, that's our Easter event. Here in Texas, we're doing an Easter in the Park event on the 19th. And actually, Tiffany, the girl that runs the house manager for the women's house.
Yeah.
Her and her man are coming down for that. So that'll be the first time anybody from Memphis has come for any of our events. So we're pretty stoked to have some We Fight Monsters crew here in Texas for one of our events. So that's going to be good.
Hey, we'll make it down there for one of your events. That's not as short of a trip as it is to Memphis. Memphis is 6.5 hours.
Memphis is 6.5 hours for me too. Like, so it's like you're looking at a solid 12, 13 hours for y'all to come down here.
Yeah. Hey, we'll make it down there. We'll make it down there one of these days.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I love it. Well, bro, thanks for hanging out with me, man. I love you. Love Laura. Love what y'all are doing. And just thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you, brother.
All right, man. We'll see y'all next week. I don't have a guest lined up for next week, y'all. I may just kind of go live by myself and ramble a little bit. I've got some stuff that's been on my mind as far as like, you know, the death of my brother's kind of been weighing on me. So I may ramble a little bit about fentanyl and how terrible it is and just kind of ramble a little bit about where we think the Raven is going to go from here. I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm going to do next week, but I'll be live next week, whether solo or by myself. Or whether solo or with someone. But yeah, anyway, thank y'all for joining us. I appreciate it. David, thanks for dropping the link to the website. Merch's shop, upper right. He went in there and peeped it and told everybody thank you for that. And again, Michael, thanks, bro. Love you. We'll see y'all next week.